When you think back to your childhood, do you remember being taught how to swim? Many of us don't remember being put into swim lessons and feel that we were put into the pool and slowly over time taught ourselves how to swim. Infant Swimming Resource is a technique that teaches infants and young children self-rescue by placing the children with little to no swim experience in the water and waiting for them to turn on their back and float. They are taught to stay calm while they are floating and waiting until someone is there to rescue them. Infant swimming resource lessons can be very traumatic for a child at such a young age, where they have never been in a pool. We need to ban ISR lessons in order to promote traditional swim classes that teach children about water safety, but also how to build on their breath control and independently swimming in order for them to rescue themselves if they were ever found in a situation where they were falling in a pool or a lake. While there are certified instructors, every child is different and can take in different amounts of water at different times. So how well do we really know when enough is enough, even if the child only struggles for a few seconds? I'm going to talk about the negative effects that ISR lessons have on children and why traditional swim lessons are more beneficial. Gradual progression in independent swimming will allow the child to rescue themselves and swim to the ledge of the pool or back to the sand if you are at a beach, rather than waiting for however long it will take for someone to come rescue the child. Dr. Harvey Barnett founded ISR lessons in 1966, and it has become a popular technique on how to teach survival skills to infants and young children. These lessons are typically conducted for 10 minutes for 4 to 6 weeks. While this may seem like it will take less time than traditional lessons, you really aren't getting much experience or safety skills out of ISR lessons. Clay Jones wrote an article that mentioned Jan Emler, who is the founder of Emler Swim School. Emler states that children can begin swim lessons as early as 6 months, where they start gradually building on their breath control and learning kicking motions and floating on their back. Here we see that both Emler and ISR lessons start lessons as early as 6 months, so why not choose the lessons that are more beneficial and more safer for your child? The problem with ISR lessons is that it pulls on the flight or fight instinct within the child who are attending the classes and do not teach them how to rescue themselves if they were to fall into the pool. More specifically, ISR teaches children to turn onto their back and float until they are rescued rather than swimming to the ledge that they fell from and saving themselves. Kids in ISR are not getting the full aspect of safety while they are just focusing on calmly turning on their back and floating for someone to save them. But what happens if a child were to sneak off and run into the beach? If your parents don't know where you are, what happens if the child only knows how to float on their back? What about the sharks? How will this child have more of a chance by saving themselves if they only know how to float with the skills that ISR has taught them? In order to be safe in the water, there needs to be a combination of breath control, learning to float, and actually learning how to swim independently in order to swim back to the wall or to the sand if you are at the beach. In a poll conducted by Baby Center, a total of 118 people voted for a traditional swim class and 77 voted for ISR. Comments about ISR included, "It was not pretty watching my child flounder in the water," and "It was not worth it." ISR doesn't just affect children in the class, but also the parents that have to watch. When they are told not to videotape or to have their children's nails clipped prior to lessons, it should throw up a red flag. This protocol is in place because while the child is drowning and floundering in the water, their nails could scratch the instructor. Most parents who enroll for ISR lessons see it as a quick way to teach their children how to be safe in the water at a lower cost. But what they don't understand is the negative effects that are underlying in the ISR swim lessons. A medical anthropologist at the University of Cambridge, Dr. Francis Friedman, states that conditionally or forcing a baby or toddler to float relies on extremely traumatic methods, and sadly no amount of praise will compensate for the memory of inflicted pain. She also states that this horrific experience may leave the child's mind, but oftentimes the child remembers the experience and causes them to have an extreme fear of water. Working at Emler Swim School has opened my eyes to the amount of families who are scared to bring their child into swim lessons because of their past swim experiences that Dr. Friedman is mentioning, or mothers who have tried ISR and just could not take the sight of seeing their child in the water trying to save itself. There was even a child at Emler who was so afraid of the water that it was a struggle for them to bathe or shower him at home. Through my experience, I have seen our traditional swim lessons teach kids to have fun in the water while learning to be safe the correct way. A child is not considered safe until they can hold their breath for at least 10 seconds, tread water, float, and of course, swim independently. The reason so many people dismiss negative effects of these lessons is because they are told that the negative comments are primarily from competing swim schools, according to Kids Aquatic Survival School. In order to get rid of ISR lessons, we need swim schools to take over the businesses in which ISR classes take place. Once these schools take over, we need to completely ban any form of ISR training to ensure we are teaching children in the safest way possible. American Red Cross and other water training facilities will help to enforce the banning of ISR. There will be no training for this type of practice, and therefore there will be no practice at any YMCA or allow any individual to participate in any private lessons that teach ISR. This solution will eliminate any trauma a child could face during swim lessons. It will also help when families are signing up for traditional swim lessons if the child doesn't have a previous fear from ISR. Even though these rules are going to be set in place, there's always going to be someone who's going to break the rules. While ISR will be illegal at this time, an instructor who is practicing in private lessons at in-home for ISR will find themselves in a hard time because they will not be able to get recertified with their ISR certifications, and it will also make her eligible to get arrested or for participating in illegal activities and endangerment of a child. One way to ensure this protocol happens is getting signatures from everyone who has negative experience from ISR or for people who are flat out against it in general. Teaming with lifeguards and swim instructors will add emphasis as well. These signatures will show how many people want to stop this and make the change to our water safety for our children. While being an employee at Emler Swim School, I have found a way to educate parents on the reason it is so important to start swim lessons at a young age, but also lessons that will benefit their child for life. ISR may seem like a quicker way to get your child water safe, but how many of us would actually leave a child unattended in the water with just the skills of floating on their back, versus a child who can swim the full length of the pool and hold their breath for at least 10 seconds? Lifelong skills do not come within 4 to 6 weeks. On average, it takes anywhere from 12 to 20 weeks, depending on the child's age. Overall, it should not matter how long it takes a child to swim, as long as they are able to be confident in the water and being taught in the safest way possible.